Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I'm so happy to see so many people here and on the dais with me, the distinguished speakers for this afternoon. As already introduced, my name is Stanley Mathew and I represent American Air Filters, a part of the Daikin Group. This afternoon, we have been talking about many things. And today, in this last session, we will be talking about certain things that affect all of us. So before, I would take first an opportunity to share a little on the topic that we want all of us to be sensitive to. That is, turning our boardrooms to think about breathing rooms. Now, why do I say that? Because when we look around as human beings, and even everything that lives requires something to breathe. And that is very important. So strategic leadership in climate governance and business transformation through indoor environment is what I'm going to focus on. As we are all aware, outdoor pollution is a big challenge for all of us. And those who are from Delhi or northern part of India, we experience almost 5 to 6 months of this one thing that keeps bothering everybody, that is the pollution around us. But it is no good at other places too, because the scale may be less, but the pollution is still there across the country, across the globe. We know that the global temperatures have been going up because of the climate change that is happening, and in 2024, it has gone up by 1.5 degrees centigrade. Now, that is really very big number. Though it may look 1.5 degrees, at a global scale, it is huge, and it can actually extinct many species because of the change in temperature. The second thing that we now see is also, because of the climate change, the rise in the levels of water. The seas have gone up by 101.4 mm. Since the level, when it is compared to 1993, not very long back, just 34 years back or 33 years back. So this 101.4 mm water, if it falls in the city of Delhi, you know what would happen here in Delhi. In one rain, it will flood the place, and it's going to affect us. Another challenge that is coming up is because of the convenience that all of us want. Something called plastic came as a boon in the 1980s in India, and many of the things got replaced with plastics. But today, the whole world is struggling with this one invention that we made for our convenience, which has actually become a concern, and it has 400 million tons of plastic that is being annually produced across the globe. And less than 10% is recycled. So this is a big challenge that is there. And finally, the carbon dioxide levels have also been rising, and now it is at 420 ppm plus, which is not a good sign. And we very well know that the balance has to be maintained, and that balance of carbon dioxide emission to balancing it out is done by the forest, the trees, and those green plants that we see around. Well, climate change indicators are accelerating at an unprecedented pace. Rising temperatures, increasing emissions, and large-scale pollutions are not only environmental concerns, but are growing economic and operational risk for businesses globally. So air quality matters. And it matters so much that every day we are breathing almost 20 to 22,000 times, and every breath that we take is bringing in a lot of air that is polluted into our lungs, and it can have severe damage. So outdoor pollution anyway is affecting us, both in health, in economic scale, as well as in business continuity. At the same time, indoor air quality is also very important. and it is generally not addressed the way we think about outdoor pollution. Clean air is both a climatic responsibility and at the same time it is a necessity for business growth. Now, the boards must align to climate action, also taking care of the workplace well-being. Because it's very important for our employees also to be having good health. Air quality has evolved as a boardroom issue. Organizations that prioritize healthier indoor environments can also improve their resilience, operational efficiencies, and the ESG performance while supporting the employee well-being. Coming to the crisis, which is an indoor environment, did you know that we normally spend more than 90% of our times in indoor conditions? It can be at our houses, it can be in our workplace, it can be in the modes of transport are also now closed and air conditioned, so we are generally in indoor conditions more than 90% of the time. But the reality is that sometimes this 90% that we spend, it may be 2 to 5 times more polluted than the outside air. When there is a poor indoor air quality, it affects the employee's health in any organization, and it affects the health of each one of you, even as we are sitting here in this hall. HVAC systems are the major contributors towards the use of energy, and also, they can bring in the pollution from outside into indoor spaces if they are not treated properly. Indoor air quality directly affects how people perform, collaborate, and stay healthy at workplace. Since HVAC also drives significant energy consumption, IAQ, that is indoor air quality management, plays a dual role, both for sustainability and for business profitability. How does indoor air quality affect us? That may be a valid question. Well, every 20 seconds around the world there is a death happening because of poor indoor air quality. Now, the air quality is measured in these 3 things that we try to monitor. That is the particulate matter, which is of size 10 microns, 2.5 microns, and 1 micron. In Delhi, everybody knows it now because we keep looking in the newspapers during those difficult months, what is the AQI? And we also try and see what is the count of the PM 2.5 at that point of time. Well, the larger particles, which are 5 to 10 microns, the body also has its own filtration system. The nose is the first filter guard, which tries to protect the lung. So the bigger particles, 5 to 10, they are trapped in the nose, and when you have excess pollution, you find that you start having a nasal discharge, which is trying to flush out the particles which are settled in the nose. The smaller ones, which are 3 to 5, they travel till our throat, and where there is moist environment, it gets trapped there, and then you feel that you have irritation in the throat when you're exposed to that kind of a particle size. The smaller ones, they get into our bronchia, and the smaller one than that, which is 1 to 2 microns, can get into the bronchioles, and the 0.1 to 1 micron, which is very small, like those viruses and all, very small particles that even flow into the blood through the alveoli. So it is very dangerous. When we breathe, we need to see that we are in certain places which are not harmful for our health. So 1 in 4 buildings, when you go and survey, they are sick buildings because of the conditions not being good. 1 in 6 of those places which have ducted systems. The breeding ground is the duct itself through which the air is coming. And 20% of all illnesses are because of the polluted indoor conditions. There are biological, combustion source, and mineral components that are actually suspended in the air while we breathe, and they are very harmful to us. So indoor air pollution comes from biological, chemical, industrial, smoke, bacteria, pollen. These are the things that affect us. Now at AF, we are trying to see that such conditions are minimized and we safeguard people against this harm that can happen. So we are designing products that try and filter out these particles. And while we do this design itself, we are mindful of the things, when we try to do something, there is the minus side also of it. So when we are making a finer and a finer filter, and it has to be put in the HVAC system, there is a pressure drop that relates into higher power consumption for the air conditioner. So we have to balance it out through our design. Our manufacturing processes are also sustainable. Our use, while we use it also, we try to see that it is sustainable. We try to regenerate as much as possible and recycle the products so that there is minimal damage while we try to control the air pollution. So, as I told you, all these things are taken care. Even the metal that we are using, try to reuse it. End-of-life management is very important in filtration, and we try to do it. Coming to, different kinds of systems that we have. So our operations across the globe, we go by trying to have this circular economy that we have just shown in the design. We drive efficiencies and sustainability. And finally, at AF, sustainability is built into our products and operations. We are focusing on recycling, reusing material, and responsible manufacturing to support both clean air and environmental growth. Coming to air quality innovation, Smart IAQ is the name of the game now. Enhanced employee efficiency and wellness can be derived through the smart indoor air quality systems. Efficient HVAC system. So we are a part of the HVAC industry, so we have to see that the efficiency of the HVAC is high while we do a higher efficiency of filtration. And finally, the ESG ratings and investor confidence has to be built up. So when you use these products and build up the confidence of the investors, it is the right time for the board, who's actually governing all the things of the organization, to be very sensitive towards this one factor of filtration. Finally, we need to boost employee performance. This can be done with the help of better indoor air quality. We have to also have talent retention. See, there are certain industries in which people don't want to work there because of the hazards of the air quality inside those places. So you don't get people to work in those places. It's better to change the conditions so that more people can come and work there. Generate long-term savings. Better indoor air quality reduces absenteeism and health issues that happen to the employees, and ensure that there is regulatory compliance. And the board has a strategic role in embedding an indoor environment quality into governance priority. This is much required. It has to be driven from the top. It cannot be done bottoms up. Indoor air quality has to be driven top-down approach. Proactive indoor air quality management reduces the risk of exposure, creating healthier and more productive workplaces. Now, finally, our sincere call to the leadership. Clean air is a boardroom responsibility. So we will request that it is a decisive moment, and clean air is the climatic action for human dignity, and business excellence meets there. The board must lead the charge. I'm sure all of you in your senior positions would definitely look into this aspect while you discuss with your management team in the coming days and have healthier employees in your organization. Thank you so much for your time. But today we also saw how they are very much connected with the people of India and trying to see that there is sustainability through their business. So now is the time then I would like to have a few questions asked to the panelists here. So let me start with Mr. Sanjay Gupta. Now, aviation industry, today, most of us who are sitting here would be traveling so frequently, but hardly we would have realized that there are just 27 hangars to handle the aircrafts that we see lined up across every airport that we go. So, Mr. Sanjay, as you also mentioned, that there is, a very difficult time to get into as an aviation engineer. Do you face the challenge of seeing that there are very less colleges which are having aviation engineering as a subject and the talent pool coming up from there?
Yes, it is a very big challenge. In fact, the country is actually waking up to that challenge. Now lots of institutes are coming up which are training students, as we call them, in basic 147. So all this is very regulated. So why, in spite of government wanting it, so far there are no universities offering degrees in aviation engineering or aviation aircraft maintenance. What normally is the pathway is like people like me who do graduate engineering and join aviation more out of wanting to be in aviation rather than any career ambition at that point of time, or the new boys who are joining by way of joining those basic 147 institutes, getting practicals here in the MROs, and then acquiring licenses, and then slowly becoming aircraft engineer. It's a painful process. It is not so structured process, but slowly things are shaping up, and I am very much hopeful with the support of company like ours or lots of other stakeholders with the government support, this will improve a lot.
That's true. So even when I was looking out, when I was getting into engineering, my passion was to get into aviation engineering, but there were no institutes where I could go at that point of time, 30, 40 years back. So that is a challenge even today, is what I understand from his message here. So it's time for the government as well as the education ministry to look into this aspect, because this is a growing industry which is going to have requirement for more and more people, engineers there. Now let me come to Mr. Amit Gupta, because he also may be facing a similar challenge. He comes from a background of civil engineering, and today people are all attracted towards AI and ML and all those things. Do we find students getting into the ones that you are handling?
Well, very well said. In fact, in today's world, it is very difficult not only to find the talent, but to retain the talent as well. These are two separate challenges. The field wherein I am a civil engineer by profession. In our company, there are nothing less than about 2,000 professionals, be it civil engineering, electrical, transmission, hydrogeologists, power potential experts, all sort of experts. I personally feel when you get a fresh graduate from a college, be it a written examination followed by interview and whatever could be the due drawn process, retaining them is the most important task. And in today's changing world, where we all talk about Gen Zs and their changing aspirations, government vis-a-vis private, the AI vis-a-vis the conventional fields, that itself has become a major buzzword in these days. From my experience, what I can vouch is the level of projects you get involved into, the level of challenges, complexities you get ultimately intertwined with is what keeps you moving. What I meant to say is, as I tried to focus upon the challenges and complexities of a project which is 1 lakh crores, that in itself is a testimony to all those individuals who want to offer for the country. At the end of the day, when you really listen after, say, 10 years down the line, people ask, "Yahan pani aayega kya? Pichle 50 saal se nahi aaya." And when you see a smile on their faces, that keeps you moving. That is from my part. And similar things is what the new generation is also to keep pace with. Besides, yes, what we have been talking about, AI, the latest tools and technologies, they'll always be there. But the emotional quotient, which I'm talking about, that will be the driving force to retain the manpower in any of the organization. Thank you so much.
That's really a challenge, which is not only for a civil engineer or an aviation engineer. The field in which I have been operating for the last 32 years, the mechanical engineers are needed and electronics engineers are also there in air conditioning now. But we find that people are more getting into the softer skill ones and not the hard labor ones, and people are attracted to that. So that's definitely a challenge for us. Now coming to Priyanka. Now, Priyanka, we all know that while you produce the beer, there is a huge amount of water that is required, and water is a scarcity in most of the places across India. So, how are we handling it in Carlsberg in India?
Sure. I touched upon a couple of things, right? The work is happening within the brewery and externally, like I said. From an internal standpoint, if I look at it, water usage ratio, a couple of years back used to be around 3.5 per HL, and now it's probably reduced by a third. It is around the 2.5 ballpark figure. If I further try and elaborate on that, some of our breweries or a few of our breweries are now even pushing to go lower than 2%, 2 HL per HL. That's the amount of progress that we've made over the past couple of years. They've been the simple Kaizen projects that have helped us understand what switches were required at the shop floor. Water usage ratio plans, like I said, water harvesting, ensuring every drop kind of merits. And from an external standpoint, like we said, we're trying to rejuvenate 100% of what we utilize. And that is going beyond what we are saying as 100%. For example, if I just give you a reference to the Mysore project, while we are reporting numbers as 85,000 metric cube, our projects are giving yields which are far higher. It's ensuring all the rainwater that comes when a rain falls is getting encatched in that area, whether it's through check dams, whether it's through stormwater recharges, the water percolation is happening. And that was the example of the farmer that he said. All the interconnected channels are now reflecting water in their surfaces. And that's just one project that I referred through, right? There are multiple projects happening within a vicinity, within the entire Gram Panchayats that we are operating at. So through that, we are ensuring we're getting there slowly and trying to ensure we leave a better tomorrow for everybody.
Thank you, Priyanka, for that. And in fact, when we look at the other side, now, one side we are talking of water. Now, when we look at to the air, now there is a lot of work being done towards reducing the air pollution and making things much better for us to breathe. But at the same time, aviation industry uses a lot of turbine fuel. So there's something called a sustainable aviation fuel. Could you dwell on it something? It's not the conventional one, but Mr. Sanjay, if you can add something about the sustainable aviation fuel or a net zero emission that we are looking forward in 2050.
So yes, the airlines particularly are getting committed to this. Having said that, the production to that capacity and meet those challenges to mass produce these things is a real challenge. Okay. And presently, what I see is they are not only very, cost benefit analysis of the whole thing is again a very challenge. But then again, sustainability is so important that costs are taking the back seat. Now, how much viable and how much open the airlines going forward, and especially in the wake of present challenges. So the kind of commitments everybody have made that net zero by 2050 is remains to be seen. So while my official stand is, yes, it should be done as fast as possible, but then I would also like to see how do they address the cost part of it. Let us see.
That's an honest answer, actually, when I was also going through and identifying the cost versus the benefit. Right now, cost is too high. But definitely a lot of work is being done in your industry and in the sector which is trying to develop this sustainable aviation fuel. In the coming days, we may see it may balance out to achieve this net zero by 2050. Coming to Mr. Amit. So, we can all be here for some time more in that organization. how are you taking up the next leadership and developing up leadership for your company and your industry in the coming days?
Well, creating the next generation to face the challenges, complexities, be it technical or financial, is the key to any of the organization. In fact, to take it head on, what as a general policy within the organization, the gestation period of the projects which I am talking about is of the tune of 10 years, 15 years. You can't have a mega project constructed overnight. So when it is in years, or rather to be very honest with each other, a decade, no one can see the project right from the conceptualization stage to handing over stage. What I mean to say is right design engineering, then tender engineering, contract management, hardcore construction, and operation and maintenance. So at one part of the world, suppose there's tender engineering going on for one of the water supply project. We send our engineers to those part of world. They stay there for an year or 2 years or so, gets into the nuances of those projects, imbibe the technical know-how of the industry, and they come back. Similarly, within India itself, I talked about the project, say a 5,400 megawatt project in Nepal, or within our own country, Polavaram in South, Andhra Pradesh. So there are fleet of engineers, say 15 numbers, who are posted there. They are basically imbibing how to tackle such a mega project, which is going to be there for a lifetime. So getting prepared right at the grassroots level, and therefore, for a project which can be ultimately delivered afterwards, say in the first instance 10 years, followed by, when it is repeated in future, 8 years, 5 years, imbibing the best of the technology. It is a human resource which is to be built and is being done so that the wealth is passed on generation to generation with the better improvements and upgradation of the skill besides scaling up. That's my take on it.
Thank you so much. And finally, to Priyanka. Now, see, Carlsberg as a brand, maybe having its own brand image and be an aspiration. But this industry, what are the major challenges that you have for the beer industry?
I think primarily it's the whole structure, right? Because while in the larger spectrum, I think now it's getting accustomed like an FMCG, because globally Carlsberg, apart from beer, has multiple portfolios. We are one of the largest bottlers of Pepsi. There are a lot of other drinks that we have. Last year, we acquired a global company in the UK called Ritwik. So in India, if I talk particularly, it's a state subject, right? And therefore, it's excise driven. Therefore, there are a lot of regulations that fall in place in terms of when you're operating within a market. That would be, and in the current scenario of scheme, I think one of the things is obviously everybody's getting impacted. We are part of the entire spectrum of that as well.
So thank you, Priyanka, for sharing that. And of course, when we look at all these things, today the world is driven by many challenges. And one of those challenges is the pollution that happens. So water, as we heard from both the people here, air, which both of us also have a challenge where we need to see that pollution levels are low. Health gets impacted in both these things. And at the same time, when we are looking at business, business also improves when both these things are good for us. The air is good and the water is good, health is better, and business grows. So I would open up now time for just 2 or 3 questions from the audience to any of the panelists here before we conclude, because we are running short of time. So if there is anybody who would like to ask a question to the panelists out here. Yes, sir. There. Can we have the mic there?
My name is Dr. Mukul Jain. My question is to Mr. Amit Gupta. You are in the public sector company, WAPCOs, and you have got huge projects. So it is surprising to me why people would be leaving public sector company. Do you also, so as you said that there is a problem in retaining the people. So what could be the reason for that? Public sector company, because my perception is that people stay in a public sector company for lifelong.
Very true. Maybe that is the perception. But the hard fact is, it's the level of complexity wherein you are posed with. For example, if there is a project which is to be constructed, you can't have a project in a place called Connaught Place. It has to be remote, wherein it could be Himalayas, it could where you don't have any electricity, you don't have the basic amenities. So, number one, the complexity of the project definitely pushes you down, the morale as well down. But yes, you can't have everything on platter. So, those people who are willfully willing, I'm saying willfully willing, not by compulsion, it has to be by choice as well. So these people go a long way, number one. And number two, there is no harm in admitting the salary structure. After all, it's a governmental salary structure. If you are paid 2 or 3 times more than what you are really paid as of now, just to derive the basic talent. There are so many engineering firms in private organizations as well, who are doing, if not exceedingly well, but equally well. So that is also one of the factors which ultimately pulls a person who is, say, 10 years experience or 15 years experience or even 30 years experience person. That is always a push and pull, which is in open market. That is true for any industry, I suppose. Thank you.
Any other question? Oh, yes. Can we have the mic there?
Good evening. I'm Neeru Singh from former independent director, Mazgaon Dock Shipbuilders Limited. My question is for Priyanka. Looking at the terrain and the scarcity of water and the different terrain of India, what are the challenges which you are facing while expansion in India? Because since UK is a market and here also there's a potential for water and your market which has come into the private sector. My question to you is this only, that how do you overcome this? Because when you come up to scarcity of water, there is a big challenge which is in India. So just wanted to know about it.
We work with the local authorities, right? And it's all as per the processes that operate within a particular vicinity. So if you ask with regards to that question, it's obviously going by the discussions with the local authorities, like I said. B is ensuring both working in-house within our facilities and ensuring that we are partnering with the local communities to ensure we are supporting them through the requirements that are there in terms of whether it's water support, water ensuring water rejuvenation, whether it's through check dams, whether it's through ponds, whether it's through hand wash facilities, whether it's through drinking water, all those parameters. So that, and then obviously ensuring your own facilities as zero liquid discharge, those aspects start playing in as well when I mention internally within the breweries.
One last question, if anybody. Okay, so thank you all for your patient listening and also the questions that have come up. I'd like to thank the Institute of Directors for organizing this very relevant topic on which we could dwell here and share with you the challenges that are there and what initiatives are being done by the various sectors which we represent here. I'd like to thank Mr. Sanjay Gupta, who's the Head of Marketing, AI Engineering Services Limited. Also Mr. Amit Gupta, who is a Senior General Manager in WAPCOS, and Ms. Priyanka, who is the Head of Corporate Communications in Carlsberg. Thank you so much for your valuable time and the insights that you provided to all of us. And on behalf of all the panelists, I would like to thank the authorities of the IOD for organizing this and giving us a chance to share these things with you. And thank you for your patient listening, dear ladies and gentlemen. Thank you.
Applause to Mr. Stanley Mathew. Thank you so much. Wonderful. Let's wrap it up with a